Hello and welcome back to DriveDriverDriven. My name is Humble and we're back on the GBS Zero project. I started working already because I forgot all about getting the camera set up, but let me show you what's going on and what I'm doing right now. So this crazy setup is so that I can get underneath . There we go. And what I'm doing is I just cleaned up this area and over here and then a little bit here. And what I need to do is I have these little plates that got made up. And we're going to cap off these tubes so that no water can get in here and get in the chassis. I have this stuff, cavity coater. It's a cavity wax, and the whole point is you spray it down inside the tube. I'm gonna have to clean that up again. And it's a rust inhibitor. And the idea is that you don't want to have any bare metal. Oh man, that's running everywhere. You don't want to have any bare metal exposed to the elements because you don't want your chassis rusting from the inside. This is a space frame chassis, so if any of these tubes rust out, it compromises the whole car. God, that just made a mess. So what I want to do is, now I have to clean these up again, but I'm going to weld these plates on. I don't know if I can set up the camera to get a good angle, but I'll try. But I'm going to weld these up, get the plate welded up, weld down here where this little plate bridges across, and then hit it with some paint so that that doesn't rust up. And then once that's done, the chassis mods themselves are complete, and I don't have to worry about rust getting in there, and I can then focus on the engine. A couple other additions are, never mind the wheel orientation, but the steering wheel hub and the turn signals and the cover, etc., are on. This cover will need to be modified. It's going to have to be trimmed up in this area so that it clears the dash, and then the dash itself will have to be cleared to clearance around the steering column down here. But otherwise, this is Miata running gear, which I think I've mentioned previously, puts a lot of your switch gear up here on the stocks, which, you know, really cleans up the dash area so you don't have a bunch of buttons. This is the steering adapter. It's the steering hub and adapter that's included with the kit, but I'm not happy with this because it's you can see it's actually quite long. It's about 3 or 4 inches long, and there's a stubby adapter which is about the width of your finger, the width of your thumb, and it'll just put the wheel a little bit closer to the stocks and a little bit farther from the driver. Right now the wheel just feels like it's right up on you and right up in your business, which is a problem because then your feet are too far away from the pedals. So not quite done, but we're getting closer. I did get the rear fenders just loosely put on for now, mainly to clear up more space in the garage. We have our reverse and rain lights installed. I still have to do the backup lights, but I got these as well as our license plate light in. I am going to have to drill and put riv nuts in the body for license plate mount, but I want to make sure that it'll clear the rear diffuser. And then aside from that, not a whole lot of progress on the car. It's just been hurry up and wait on parts, which are now on the way finally. Back over here to the engine, the kind of goal that I want this weekend is I want to start cleaning this up and blueprinting all the parts, getting the bores cleaned up, and start on the engine build once the chassis is complete. So because parts are on the way now, that I could finally focus on the engine and start putting it together. So I'm actually really excited about that. So I'm going to see if I can get you guys set up with a somewhat decent angle to show you what I'm doing on the chassis, and then I'll give you a look after I'm done. I'm not expecting anything fantastic, just there's still a lot of paint and now a lot of grease all over, so we'll see how this turns out. Well, there's the somewhat finished product. It's more booger than weld, but it doesn't need to be structural. It just needs to be mostly watertight, or as watertight as I could make it. It's no fun welding upside down and backwards and in tight spaces and blind and dirty, thanks to spilling the cavity wax everywhere, but I think that will do it for the chassis mod. Now, I've mentioned previously, mine is a first-gen chassis. I think it's actually the last of the first-gen chassis. And any new orders for the Zero, this mod is basically already pre-done from the factory. They eliminate this tube on the Gen 2s forward, and it's meant to work with the Ford Duratec or the Mazda MZR engines right out of the box. So the only reason I needed to modify mine is because it was a Gen 1 chassis and it was never intended to run this drivetrain. But now that that's done, we can get this car back down on the ground and take a look at the engine. I just realized that's a bit of an occasion. This is the first time that Project Zero has actually been on all fours on the ground on its own weight, so there you go. It's also super light without anything in it. so kind of a quick cleaning. This was the dirtiest of the two sides. Most of it wasn't like grease or oil. Most of it was actually just dirt from sitting in a warehouse for however long. And it cleaned up pretty nicely. Almost new looking. And I don't have time to hot tank it because I'm trying to get the zero done, or done enough that I can put it aside if we can't get it done, because the Ultima parts are on their way. Actually, as I'm filming this, I think the container ship with my parts is going through the Panama Canal. So yeah, any day now. I still have to clean up the ceiling surface, get this old RTV up. That's easy enough to do. I've already done the front, you can see. I did the top side and cleaned up the head gasket surface. So I'm just going to clean this up really quick and then pop these old bearings out. And then we'll be ready to start, well, actually we'll be ready to bore out these, or not bore, but rather hone the cylinders and get them prepared. And we're going to take some baseline measurements after that to make sure that our new bearings and our new crank and everything is going to line up like it should. So that'll all be next time. But for now, let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. So there you have it, kind of a close-up of that ceiling surface. Nice and clean now. There's the other side. You can sort of see just a little bit of scarring here and there from the metal blade. That's not too bad. That's not going to impede gasket sealing or anything like that. So yeah, looking good. That's going to do it this time around. We've got the car sealed up, the engine cleaned up, or the block anyway. And so next time around we can start building the engine. I mentioned before that the Ultima parts are just a couple, 3 weeks away. I'm expecting delivery of the crate sometime around the 1st of June. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll post an update once that arrives. The hope is that I can get the parts necessary for the Zero to have it at least drivable by then, so I can get the Zero registered and out of the way so I can free up that space for all of the Ultima parts. Otherwise, I got to kind of kick it over to the side yard and we'll get to it later. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.